They will fear the wild.
Alright, what is up? What is going on, guys? It's your boy Chumbles, and I'm back, and this time we are going to be doing a Nidalee jungle guide. This is going to be for AP Nidalee. This was highly requested. You guys smash the like button on my AD Nidalee top guide. So if you guys are new and you haven't checked that out, I do recommend you guys go checking that out if you're interested in playing Nidalee. But now let's get into this. So I'm going to go over some reasons why you want to play Nidalee and why this is a champion that maybe you should pick up in the jungle while learning League of Legends, or if you are just learning or want to learn Nidalee, then this should be the guide for you. So first things first, let's start off with Nidalee's abilities. And these abilities are what really makes this champion, and of course that's for every champion, but specifically this one, her abilities really make this champion. And we've seen in the past where one of her abilities becomes too strong and she becomes just broken. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, definitely look up Faker playing Nidalee mid. It'll blow your mind how much damage this champ used to do with her spears. But anyways, let's get right into it. Her abilities. Her Q is a long missile. It's the slowest missile in the game, and it does more damage the farther it goes. This is a very good ability for getting your passive off, allowing you to jump further, and it's an ability that just is pretty much her entire damage when it comes to AP Nidalee. It's a key ability that you really need to hit if you want to master this champion. But that being said, her Cougar ability is also a takedown, so the lower the champion that you are hitting is, or the lower the dragon or baron, etc. is, the more damage Nidalee's Q, which is called takedown, actually does. So this is pretty much an execute, and it is a very strong ability. Also, another reason as to why this champion is so good, so that is why you want to max your Q first. Next is her W. Her W is a trap in human form. It goes invisible after a few seconds. It can gain you a slight bit of sight when you put it into a bush or just in the fog of war. When a champion walks over it, or if a blue buff or red buff, etc. walk over it, then you gain vision of whatever hits it. It also procs your passive, which is your jump, which is also your W in Cougar form. So when you hit a target with either your Q or your W, you get this enhanced W range where you are able to jump to a target double the range that you normally are able to jump. Which brings us into Nidalee's Cougar W, which is her jump, of course, and it's a jump that just allows her to go from one distance to another. It's followed by wherever your mouse is pointing, not where the champion is facing. So that is very key to remember. She is able to jump over walls. This is able to help you jump over drag, baron pit. It helps you cut through the map and get to places you want to be ASAP. And now her human E. It is a heal and attack speed steroid. So this is a very strong ability. This scales off AP, so the more AP you have, the bigger the heal is. The attack speed is flat, so it doesn't matter how much AP you have for the attack speed, but this is why you see a lot of Nidalee players just dropping heals on champions that have a lot of AD, so they gain that attack speed steroid and they can pop off in fights. Now you can either target yourself with her heal, or you can target an allied champion like I mentioned, which is why I highly recommend you drop this on your AD carry almost no matter who it is. Most AD carries are going to use this buff except for maybe a Jhin. Everybody else pretty damn OP with this heal. The flat attack speed is insane, and of course, if you do heal them, that's always a bonus. Now Nidalee's E in Cougar form is a swipe. It's an AoE damage, just flat base damage, and scales off AP. It's not that much damage when you compare it to her Q ability in both forms, but it is very nice for clearing, and it helps you get down champions to a point where your Cougar Q will do a lot of damage. So you really want to make sure you get champions as low as possible before hitting them with the Q. And Nidalee's are, of course, enhances all her other abilities. It doesn't actually do anything other than change forms after a few seconds off cooldown, and every time you level it, you gain extra damage and enhances your other abilities in your Q, W, and E. And last but certainly not least, we have Nidalee's passive, which is Prowl, and this gives you increased move speed while going through bushes. Doesn't matter if you're in human or in Cougar form, just gives you the extra move speed. And like I said, the forms don't matter. So I know before you used to get more in Cougar. That is no longer a thing. So make sure you know that when you're playing the champion now. And her second part of her passive, which I mentioned before, is when you hit a champion with your Q or your W in human form, being your javelin or your trap, then you gain the hunt passive, which allows you to jump at the target, and you gain bonus move speed. Now people don't realize that you gain the 10% movement speed no matter what, but it's increased to 30 if you are running towards that target. So this is actually a very good tool when running away from somebody. If you hit somebody with a Q and then you just keep running, helps you gain a little more distance. And that's why it's such a good tool for either engaging or disengaging. And that's why her passive, Prowl, not one of her many thousand passives, is actually quite good and really puts her kit all together. All right, next on the list is going to be the runes. So the runes on the screen right now are the highest win rate runes that Nidalee players are using right now. So statistically speaking, these are the runes that will help you climb. Now, I'm not sure how the data really works in this case. I guess it's based on what people take between the different runes to figure out what percentages are the best. But this is the page that has the highest percent win rate. Now, this isn't the page that I personally use, and I don't think it's a page that I've seen a lot of people use in high elo on Nidalee. Personally, what I use, but you guys, if you want, check out this page. Let me know what you guys think of it. If it's working for you, then I'd say stick with it. But if it's not, then maybe try out my page. Let me know how that goes, and you guys can decide from there. So for my page, I do go Dark Harvest instead of that, and I've been slightly switching to Ravenous Hunter over Relentless. You have a lot of move speed already in your kit, so it really does just depend on, I guess, who you're facing and what your goal is. I think if you're going to be fighting early and you're going to be invading, then maybe Ravenous will help because you'll start getting it stacked early. But if you're going to be somebody who's going to be running from lane to lane trying to gank because you have either strong laners or the complete opposite and you need to help them a lot, then I would say the Relentless is going to be a rune. And for secondary, I like to go Magical Footwear into Cosmic Insight. Magic Footwear, I like getting the boots with more move speed, which means that Ravenous Hunter is even better at that point instead of going for the Relentless. And Cosmic Insight, the 5 CDR starting, is very, very helpful on a champion that is so dependent on having low CDR. Having an extra max CDR, again, very important. You build a lot of CDR items on this champ, so you hit 40 to 45% CDR very easily. And then the 5% on your summoner CDRs is always great. And then the runes down here do not change at all. These are the highest win rate runes. These are the runes that I use. But if something else is working, then I say go ahead and use those. And lastly, the main difference between this page and the other one, other than the secondary, is going to be Dark Harvest versus Electrocute. The reason I like Dark Harvest is because I can get the ball rolling early. I can get stacks early, especially low elo to about, I would say, master tier. I feel like Dark Harvest is the best rune to take because it's so easy to get stacks. People don't respect Dark Harvest. You can smite people with blue smite with Dark Harvest, and you can just get stacks early. You can stack up late, doesn't matter. You can get multiple Dark Harvest procs in a fight, which is massive, and you can't do that with Electrocute unless it's like a crazy long fight, which really doesn't happen anymore. So yeah, that's why I think Dark Harvest is just better. But again, try the two runes out. Let me know what your thoughts are. Whatever works for you, I'd say just stick with it and use those. And let's move right into the combos of Nidalee. There's going to be quite a few combos here, but I'm going to go over the ones that I think are the most important for the jungle. So first, we'll start off with the human form ones, which is auto spear. So just kind of cancels the wind up time to re-auto again like this. So that like she winds up and then autos. So you auto spear and then you kind of get rid of that. Another one is going to be the Q into, or sorry, auto heal and then Q, which removes the heals animation. So it's going to be auto heal Q. So if you want to see what it looks like without doing this spear afterwards, it will look like this: auto heal, huge animation where she does that, like, I don't know, the heal thing. So again, auto heal Q gets rid of it. So auto heal Q, boom. So that's a pretty good one. Removing that animation is actually massive because, as you can see, it's pretty long, and it prevents you from getting that auto attack out. Some other ones are kind of just like regular stuff, like auto QW. It kind of just removes like a split second. It's really not that useful. I've seen people do like auto spear heal, which I think is terrible. I think you should do auto heal spear like that, like I mentioned before. And that's pretty much it for the human one. There's really not too many things. There used to be auto cancels because of form switching, but that's no longer a thing. So let's move into the Cougar ones. So for the Cougar abilities, you have a few ones that are just pretty common, pretty simple to do for the most part. And I mean, for your basic combo, you're going to want to do W, then your E, and then your Q. So again, W like that. And the reason for that is because your W does damage, your E does damage, and then your Q, which is a takedown. The more health that the champion is missing, the more that your Q will do in Cougar form. So again, W, boom, or you could go swipe into W into Q. That is going to be your most basic one. Another one just going like auto into that, and auto attack, then Q. It removes the animation for your like little paw hitting it like that. So auto Q, boom. So it's just an auto attack reset, nothing too crazy. Another one is using your Q and then Wing. So Q like that. And again, QW. So as you can see there. And what this is actually used for is getting away from targets. So say you're like running away or a target's chasing you, you could just like Q and then jump. Well, that was a double jump, but you know what I mean. So if a target's chasing you or you're just hitting minions, you can use your Q and then jump. And if you kill that target, what it does is it resets your W so that you can jump again a little bit after that. Obviously I have the cooldowns all the way, and you can't do that with the dummy, but that is the whole point of it. So that's pretty much the combos. Now there is going to be like other combos that you can do, but for the most part, when learning this champion, I do believe that overall your main combos are going to be the ones that I just showed you. And obviously you're going to have like auto heal Q, W into E into Q, and that's going to be your overall maximum damage output that you'll be able to do versus the champion or monsters that you are hitting. So let's move right on to the next topic. Now we are going to move on to matchups. This is pretty important, and a lot of people I see, especially on the Nidalee subreddit, always ask about matchups, which matchups you invade in, which you don't. Now what I'm going to do is go by the highest win percent champions in the jungle right now. So the stats might vary a little bit depending on which site you go on. I just went on one of the basic like champion.gg. You can go on like whatever you want to try and check this. But for this instance, I'm just going to go quickly over some of the top tier champions right now that you're likely to see, but it really depends, because as you can see, there's some where Trinity Jungle is not being played too much, but it does have the highest win percent. So what I can do is do it like that, and these are going to be the highest champions you're going to see, but they're not going to be the most winning of jungle champions. They might just be flavor of the months champions that are, I guess, fun to play, which you could see Lee Sin being at the top. So I guess I'll go over a bit of each, so that way you guys can get an idea. And most of this actually has to do with how you play the matchup, not more so which champion you're going up against. And what I mean by that is, for example, Lee Sin, a champion you're going to see a lot. This champion is able to, yes, kill you. A lot of people, for some reason, I think, find this matchup really hard. But what they don't understand is that you need to catch the Lee Sin off guard. You don't want him catching you off guard. So you want to force onto him. And while doing that, you are going to obliterate Lee Sin. And what I mean is, you throw a spear. If you hit him with a spear, he's pretty much dead. There's almost no way for this guy to escape. He has not the best of escapes. He has his W, and he has his ulti to kick you away. So what that means is, if you get onto him, he's practically dead, especially if you hit him with a spear or you have your trap that he steps on. That means you get your refreshed W, so you can jump again while in Cougar form, and you stick onto the target. And again, Lee Sin, I don't find a very hard matchup. I think he is pretty easy to go into. And for the most part, I like going into Lee Sin's, usually free wins. Lee Sin players aren't really the best. Again, he is a higher skill-based champion, just like Nidalee. So if you have mastered your champion more, Lee Sin should be an easy champion to go against. Next is going to be Kazakhs. This champion is actually very, very strong, and I would be worrisome going against Kazakhs. Now, this matchup, again, like most, depends on if he jumps on you first. If he can jump on you with his W and, his E, then press WQ, the odds are you're not winning the fight. But what you can do is build stuff like Iceborne Gauntlet instead of Lichbane. This will allow you to survive a little more, building Ninja Tabis, for example. There's a lot of different ways where you can survive these more brutal matchups that you're going to go against. But for the most part, Kazakhs is a hard one if he jumps on you. But if you get the jump on him, again, it's one of those matchups where it kind of depends how you play it. I wouldn't really go invading a Kazakhs unless you know he's going to be low, because if he isn't low and he jumps on you, things will get bad. Next is Jarvan. Jarvan, I feel like, is one of those matchups where it's all dependent on if he hits his EQ on you. If he doesn't, he's kind of just a sitting duck, and you can kite him out with your auto attacks from range, and it's even more brutal if you have a red buff. But for the most part, I think Jarvan is pretty easy. I'm not scared to invade a Jarvan. The only times that Jarvans are really an issue is if he starts to get ahead and then invades. To which point, I mean, it's more of the champion being ahead rather than the champion itself. So Jarvan, I would be very not so scared to invade on and to try and fight. But again, you do want to use your W. A lot of these champions, you want to use your Cougar W to dodge meaningful skill shots. Lee Sin Q, Jarvan EQ. A lot of these champions, just looking down the list right here, Elise, another one, Vi, another one. There's so many where you really just need to master the champion in order to beat these certain matchups, and it comes down to your skill versus the other player's skill. Next is everybody's favorite emo boy, Kayn. So Kayn has been rising in popularity a lot, thanks to the few Kayn mains in Challenger. So Kayn, in my opinion, is actually kind of a pain in the ass to try and fight because he can go into the walls. It makes it very difficult for you to actually hit your Q on him. However, early on, if you do hit your Q on Kayn, he is super, super weak. If he does not have his transformation and you hit your Q or he steps on your trap, it's honestly, he's a sitting duck. Going through the walls is no big deal because if you are hitting him and you're dealing damage, he's going to fall back out of the wall and he won't be able to fly away across the map. But overall, Kayn, if you can fight him early and you path correctly and you know where he is pathing, then I wouldn't be afraid to fight Kayn. But if he does get his transformation early, you really want to make sure you know what you're doing in the fights. Kayn is very strong at transformations. Doesn't matter which one he has. He'll either one-shot you or he'll out-bruiser you. And it's not a fun time. So I'd advise you guys, try and abuse him before he gets his transformation. Try to invade him, know where he's pathing. And then once he gets his transformation, just focus on lanes completely. Don't even bother trying to fight him anymore, because like I said, he's going to fly into those walls, especially if he's blue Kayn. It's on a 7-second cooldown if he has no CDR, and he's going to be zipping right by you, and you're not going to be able to hit your spear. Like I said before, you have the slowest missile in the game, so throwing it out randomly at a Kayn flying through a wall is, well, good luck to you. So that's that on Kayn. And next is going to be Pantheon. Pantheon, a new champion. However, Nidalee actually destroys this guy because you are able to jump past him when he is trying to block all of your abilities. One of the few champions in the game that can actually just shoot past Pantheon and get behind him and then deal a whole bunch of burst damage. So my advice is, if he's jumping on you, which is really the only way he can get to you, you want to Cougar W past him once he is trying to block you, and then you want to E and Q him, and it leaves him really vulnerable, and then after that he has nothing to defend himself and you just kill him off. So Pantheon, pretty easy matchup now. Next is Hecarim. Hecarim is a champion that I've seen quite a lot of. Now Hecarim's actually not difficult in my opinion because he mostly runs in straight lines. It's pretty easy to land a spear on him. Now I do advise you guys, definitely take Blue Smite versus this guy because it also lowers his AD when he is trying to jump on you, and it gives you the movement speed buff, of course, and the damage. So Blue Smite, a must versus Hecarim. The other champions, kind of whatever you want to do, but for Hecarim, I definitely advise the Blue Smite. Wait for him to get close to you, hit your Q with your spear, and then go into Cougar form, blast him down, go back into human form, heal up, do the cycle over again, and you should be pretty fine. You just gotta hope he's not uber fed, because at that point, again, it doesn't matter what champion you're really against, you're not gonna survive. But there are ways where you can defend yourself. Again, Ninja Tabi, Very good item to purchase versus some of these champions, some of these burst champions. Iceborne Gauntlet, another good one. Again, slows his speed, helps lower his AD so he can't just run you over like a train. And that is my advice versus Hecarim. I would not be scared to go against this guy. Invading, very easy. He gets very low early on, so I do recommend trying to invade. And the last person that I want to talk about is going to be Eve. I think Eve is a champion that we've seen a lot of, or I have at least. I feel like I've seen way more Eves than really any of these other champions. And it's a champion that a lot of people compare Nidalee to. In my opinion, I say Eve is basically the better Nidalee right now. She just kind of does what Nidalee does, but at a safer point, and it's kind of just easier as a champion, I think. Again, I think Nidalee has the highest skill cap in the game. So, Eve, I would not be afraid to fight. I think Eve is probably the most free-low of the champions that you can play against. That being said, again, if Eve is ahead, I do not recommend you try and fight her. If she gets the jump on you with her W and she all-ins you, it's very hard to defend yourself. MR items suck in this game, so building against her is actually very difficult. But early game, you should be sitting in Eve's jungle. You should not be even in your jungle to clear camps. Just sit in hers, take everything. The only way this champion becomes strong is hitting level 6. What I do is I literally will camp in Eve. I'll place all my wards into the Eve's jungle, and I'll sit there and I'll just wait to kill her over and over and over again, because before level 6, I'm stronger than her at every single point in the game. It doesn't matter what level she is, 1 or 5, I am stronger. So you really want to make sure you're abusing her early and don't let her get ahead. Now I'm just going to go down the list of the highest win percent champions in the jungle. And I'm just going to do the first 3. You guys got a good idea of how Nidalee really kind of plays out in the jungle. So Tryndamere has been very explosive recently. This has been kind of a flavor of the month. And he's been at number 1 now, which is pretty insane to me. I think it's because he just kind of scales so well, and you don't have to face anybody in brutal matchups in the top lane or mid lane. So, versus Tryndamere, I would suggest probably not even fighting him. The only way he really wins is if you mess up. So, if you are learning the champion, again, I advise don't go into ranked with Nidalee right away. But if you are learning the champion, fighting Tryndamere might not be the best idea, because if you mess up and he hits his W on you and you're just super slow and he just jumps on you, it's not going to be good, because Tryndamere does a lot of damage. It's very deceptive because of the amount of damage he does with crits, even if he has 0 crit items. So again, it's one of those champions where maybe you wait until you have a Iceborne Gauntlet, or if you have Ninja Tabbies, because he won't have too many items at that point, because those items are fairly cheap. And again, same thing with Vi. Think Vi, you can abuse her if you get the jump and you know what you're doing, but if she jumps on you, it's pretty hard to get away. She does a lot of burst damage as well, but again, you can dodge her main ability, which is going to be her Q. You just better hope you're not in ulti range, because if she ults you, then Qs you, you might be in some trouble. But again, using your jump to move away from Vi's W, her Q, trying to predict her Q where it's going to land is going to be vital. Also, flashing it, of course, is one of your options. And next is Thalia. Thalia is pretty easy in my opinion. I think you're able to fight her almost at every stage of the game. She's not too difficult, and again, like I said, MR items aren't easy to come by, so that goes for champs facing Nidalee as well. Since you are doing mainly magic damage, she has no way of really defending herself, so as long as you just jump onto her, again, invade her like Evelyn, I do think you should be in a very good spot despite her high win percentage. And now we're going to move into the last segment of this guide, and it's going to be, of course, the build that you're going to run with Nidalee. So for me, this is the rune page that I usually go, or sorry, not rune page. This is going to be the item set that I usually use. And it's pretty bruiser heavy, and it does deal a lot of damage. So I think a lot of people, what we have as a community kind of decided is you either go bruiser or you go full glass cannon. Personally, the build that I use, I've felt I win so many more games than going a full glass cannon. So I'm going to show you this one, and then I'm going to show you the one where I guess maybe you'll see more glass cannon players use the all in early game / mid game or bust kind of builds. So yeah, this is going to be what I run. I'm going to most of the time get Dark Seal, super effective item. If I get to 10 stacks, then if I have enough gold, I will upgrade it, because upgrading it does provide a lot, especially if you can keep stacking it. It helps you just translate into the mid game / late game effectively well. Like, it's so broken if you get 25 stacks on your Magi's that honestly you just kind of win the game. Next is your smites. So again, depends who you're against. Most of the time I do go blue smite though. Red smite did get nerfed a few patches ago, so making it a little less desirable to pick up. The 3 boots that I will always use most of the time is going to be Sork boots, however. So Sorks, the Merc treads if you need tenacity, the Ninja Tabbies if you need some armor if you're going against those hard engaged champs that are going to blow you up. That leads us to the core build, which I go the Iceborne Gauntlet like I've mentioned before. In most of my videos, you'll see me even use it top lane because it's that good. Provides so much armor, provides a lot of damage, as well as the mana and the CDR. And Unholy Grail. This is one of my favorite items to use. It is a healing machine on this champion, especially when you go Runic Echoes, because if you hit splash damage on multiple people, then your healing gets amplified even more. And moving on is Liandry's. I think Liandry's is pretty strong. However, I have been going Rod of Ages some games as well. Usually before the Athenes. So it really just depends what I'm doing in the game. I think Nidalee has one of the widest build ranges in the game, if not the widest. It really just depends who you're against, what your game plan is, what your team needs, you know, all those kinds of things. But for the most part, these are going to be the core 3 that I will use in, I'd say, 80% of my games. And then, of course, the situationals. Again, Rod, Death Cap, pick up a lot. Sometimes I don't, just because I'll need more utility or more tankiness, etc. Rylai's, again, pretty decent. Helps you just stick even more, but most of the time I don't run it. I'd put that at the bottom. And I'd actually put this here. Zonia's, again, really good item. Provides a bunch of armor. Helps you survive. The passive is broken, the unique active on it. And then you have Abyssal Mask, probably the best MR item that you're going to pick up other than the Unholy Grail. Pretty good stuff, very good tank item. And then you have Banshees, pretty situational. If you're getting hit with a bunch of skill shots, then Banshees will be better than Abyssal Mask. But I'd say most of the time you're not really going to face that, especially the magic dealing ones. So I'd say Abyssal Mask before the Banshees. Spear is kind of whatever. I don't really recommend Spear Visage. To be honest, I think it's just the worst version of these two. But, you know, I'll just keep it here just to have you guys see it and understand why. ZZ Raw. Some games you actually need this item to end early. I think a lot of people really underestimate the power of this item. So ZZ Raw is there, and again, I'd actually put ZZ Raw before before Spear. I put Spear at the end actually, and then after that is Void Staff. It could be seen as a core item if you are against a bunch of MR people, but that again, that depends. So if you're not against a bunch of people building MR, then you don't want to build this item because, well, it's useless. It's really just ineffective. And again, that's going to be the list here. So these are the core things that I will run. And this is my personal page that I've put together. And now I'm going to show you the glass cannon. And now onto the glass cannon rune set for Nidalee. These are basically the highest win rate, most used items across the board. So I just put them all in together as follows. So yeah, let's get into this. Basically the exact same thing as I said before. Again, gonna be preference, the dark seal, which I guess I should put Magi's in here. Magi's. So yeah, again, same concept, same everything. Boots, you're only gonna buy Sork boots. This is basically the only boots that anybody runs when doing this build. Then Lichbane, super high damage, super mobility given to the champion, which means, again, you don't really want to run Relentless Hunter as your rune if you're going to be building Lichbane, because the more movement speed you have, the less effective the percentage is when you keep building more of it. So that's the total idea behind it. Again, a lot of damage, cooldown, all that good stuff. Morello, just a really strong core item. I'd actually run Morello in my other one as well, now that a lot of healing champions are popping up, because Morello does give you the Grievous Wounds effect, so very effective versus a lot of champions. And then Zhonya's, again, a core item. This is going to be one that just helps you survive. Once you go in, burst somebody down, you use the active, you stay alive a little longer, and then you hope that your team can help you clean up the fight. And then you're going to go into Rabadon's, just pure AP. This is like your bread and butter when using this build. Just going to give you so much more ability power to one-shot people and take over the game. And again, Void Staff, very situational, but also very core at the same time, because most of the time people realize that you're building pure AP and they'll start building a lot of MR, so Void Staff will actually become effective. And situational is very, very, very slim. Most of the time it's either going to just be Abyssal Mask for tankiness or Banshee's Veil. Even these last two are very like Spirit. Yeah, Spirit's gone. Goodbye. Wait, what? There we go. Goodbye. And I'd say personally I'd put ZZ Rod in here, especially if you're having a hard time ending the game. It can be that that thing that just helps you push even a little more, helps you split in a side lane without actually having to be there. And you can replace it with boots, because it does give you move speed around towers and dead towers. So that is going to be the glass cannon build for Nidalee Jungle. And that's going to conclude our guide here. So if you guys did enjoy, please hit that like button. Comment down below your thoughts on the guide. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Let me know. And make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. I will be posting more guides if you guys are interested, but the only way I'm going to know if you are is by commenting, letting me know, hitting that like button. And if you guys are interested, I could do an AD Scion guide, or I could do an Inting Scion guide / full in-depth AP Shyvana guide, even though I do have an AP Shyvana guide already live. So if you guys are interested in those, please let me know. If there's other champions you want me to do, maybe I could do a whole series on them. But again, I do need your help in knowing if you guys want to see these videos. It does take a long time for me to make, but I would be glad to do them if you guys want them. So again, if you guys did enjoy, hit that like button, comment down below, and subscribe if you are new. And hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.